11 seed, and Providence the 14 seed. Sean McDonough, Jay Billis, and Bill Raftery. The Garden is still buzzing, but let's turn our focus toward this game. We just saw what can happen to a team that's a little bit shaky with an eye toward the NCAA tournament. Villanova, Marquette, even in rougher shape coming in. Most think they're in the tournament, but they need a win tonight.
A win would certainly solidify their position as an NCAA tournament team, and Marquette shoots a lot of free throws. They have made more free throws than their opponents have attempted, in large measure because they get the ball into the paint. Buzz Williams calls them paint touches. They want to get a certain amount per game. They get into the paint. They're able to draw defenders and also draw fouls, and Jimmy Butler draws more fouls than anybody on this Marquette team. He gets the ball into the paint. He draws defenders and can kick it to open shooters. Has the vision to the opposite side of the floor. Kicks it to a shooter, Darius Johnson-Odom, their top three-point shooter, who's stepping into his shot. And Marquette is going to try to punch the lane against this Providence team, a team that is not very good defensively.
Yeah, they really punched that lane in their regular season, went over the Friars. The Milwaukee paper today described Marquette as a team in desperate need of a win. Don't know if it's that bad, but certainly they could use one. And if you need a win, Providence is a scary team to play against, led by the leading scorer in the league, Marshawn Brooks.
You think you're good, and you are, but so is Marshawn Brooks. A talented guy, can fill it up all areas, full control of it, great length over shorter guys. He understands how to use the dribble. He's got the freedom, something we all desired when we played but seldom got. He is a talented guy, the go-to guy. He needs big numbers if Providence is going to prevail.
Providence won only 4 regular season Big East games, but wins over Villanova and Louisville. So for Marquette, among those trying to make sure they don't get upset by the Friars, Darius Johnson-Odom, second team all-conference this year in the Big East.
Well, a lefty, very good in the open floor, a terrific crossover, hesitation move, strong into the lane, and very good in transition.
Providence, as we mentioned, 4 and 14 in the league, 15 and 16 overall. Vincent Council, a talented point guard, with Gerard Coleman, a freshman. Brooks, Kadeem Batts, their best front court player, and Belial Dixon. And for Marquette, losers of 2 in a row. They go to 18 and 13, 9 and 9 in the conference. Dwight Bikes with Johnson-Odom, Jimmy Butler, who is their leading scorer at 16 a game, Eric Williams and Chris Otule. For Coach Buzz Williams. There's Marshawn Brooks, far and away the leading scorer in the league this year, 24.8 overall, 26 a game in the Big East, and he kept scoring all the way to the finish of the regular season, even with more and more defensive attention. Ed Corbett, Earl Walton, Gene Steratore, the officials. Gene will throw the ball in the air. Marquette in the white, and Otule won the tip.
Sean McDonough, Jay Billis. Providence goes a little matchup with some principles. 3-2 look.
These are the 2 highest scoring teams in the Big East. You would expect the high scoring game. Both of them at over 76 points per game. Marquette 76.7 to lead the league. And right on cue, a 3-ball for Jimmy Butler out of the corner, just his 18th 3 of the year. Vincent Council tried the quick counterattack. Lost the ball, but it'll go out of bounds to Providence.
That is a very confident Providence team.
Buzz Williams said we had a bad week. After losses last week to Cincinnati and Seton Hall to perhaps put them back on the bubble. Belial Dixon working inside for Providence and could not finish. Most thought Marquette was safely into the NCAA tournament after a win at Connecticut. They've lost 2 straight since. Butler couldn't do it. Good work by Eric Williams, but he couldn't finish. And the rebound to Kadeem Batts. Averages 6 boards a game.
Williams came a long way for that rebound. That's the confidence of Providence. They're a freewheeling offensive team. A lot of ball screens.
Marshawn Brooks, well short with the attempt. Kept alive by Batts, and now Coleman.
Brooks with a bigger defender, and Jimmy Butler guarding him. He plays with such great pace, terrific hesitation moves.
They didn't realize the shot clock was running out. Council passed it off, and Batts took too long to get one up for Keno Davis in his 3rd season as Providence coach. And speculation in the New York papers today that his job could be in jeopardy. There's some mumbling in Providence But the administration there could be pondering a change.
Now, one thing about them is the defensive end that's going to help them win games.
Big East games, they're giving up 47% from the field, largely because they give up open shots like that. Both Jimmy Butler and Darius Johnson-Odom standstill threes without even a handout.
Well, one thing about Brooks, he can use the dribble against a bigger guy. Let's see if he utilizes that. Late ball screens.
Brooks was held to 17 in the regular season meeting in Milwaukee, which was not long ago on February 27. The game really dominated by Marquette. Council short with a pull-up. And a break opportunity for Johnson-Odom.
And all off their defense. We saw it against Notre Dame. They can guard you. They don't need help frequently. Just one-on-one. Get after their guy.
They get a little loose with the ball, and Marquette is able to play ahead of your defense. And Providence's defense is not that great to begin with, but you let Marquette play ahead of it, and it's game over.
And as you noted, you give these easy ones at nylon. This kid is tough going to the rim or stepping outside. Johnson-Odom.
Now, we mentioned these are the two top scoring teams in the Big East, but flip side is they're among the worst defensively. Providence giving up 80 points per game. They're actually better than they were last year when they gave up 85 a game in league play and 82 points per game overall, second to last in the country last year in scoring defense.
Now, you know all the numbers. How many shot clock violations do you think Providence had this year? I mean, I would assume not many, right? And they got one, and then they had a late one that trip.
There's Brooks. And a shot blocked by Otule. His 48th of the season. The most for a Marquette player since 1997.
And I think that might be his second one. He got one earlier. I thought it was him at the rim.
Council kicks it off for a three that would not go for Gerard Coleman. Talented freshman out of Boston. Coleman averaging 10 points per game. Tino Davis disappointed he didn't make the all-rookie team.
Chris Otule, who blocked that shot on the other end, really does a good job of posting. You know, he doesn't get the ball that often, but he occupies that middle defender in the zone, and that's what allowed Darius Johnson-Odom to slip baseline. They didn't complete the play, but the fact that Otule posts so hard opens things up and occupies a defender, opens things up for his teammates.
Well, tough start for Providence. You wonder about their confidence level, where this team just smacked them around pretty good a little over a week ago. And now down 8-0 right out of the gate. Tough shot for Council, a little bit long. Johnson-Odom again.
Tough look. Good idea.
Coleman broke it up, and then Brooks able to run it down. Guarded by Jay Crowder. Tough shot, wouldn't go again. Mentioned Brooks had 17, well below his average against Marquette. He told Buzz Williams after the game that that was as good a job as the team had done on him defensively this year in terms of the approach. Butler guarded him a lot that night. And Brooks called for the foul, his first, and Otule will go to the line.
What a nice effort, though, by Brooks, huh? Saved the basket. There's a lot of things for the Friars.
Otule battled injuries the last few years. Injuries to both feet limit him to 12 games over the last 2 years. He's been healthy this year and has really improved as the season has gone along. There's those goggles. He has one eye. He lost his left eye as a young boy to glaucoma. Council. Wow. Missed a three. Providence still scoreless nearly 4 minutes in.
Well, you start fast breaks with those shots.
Yeah, they don't waste a lot of time, do they?
No.
Johnson-Odom for three, and Tino Davis will use another timeout.
Remember last year, this Providence team went down big in their first game and then battled back, scored over 100 points, made it a game.
They lost to Seton Hall last year in a track meet up and down. I believe it was 109-106. We'll check that. That was the final score. Oh, Darius Johnson-Odom firing on target. Not a moving target for him early on.
Bringing up the pass. Tough kid, though. Good leadership qualities. A toughness about this guy, is there?
Well, he can play in the half court, and he plays very effectively in the full court. At his best in transition. But you give him wide open three-point looks. He's the top three-point shooter for this Marquette team, hitting about 2 threes per game. And he's already hit that mark in the first 5 minutes of the first half.
Going to the rim now, get something good. That'll set your defense up if you're Providence. Don't jack them deep.
Johnson-Odom had been struggling lately from three-point range. Career 41%, but 28% over the last 4 games. Providence trying to get on the board. Still won't happen as Batts missed one. And then Bryce Cotton couldn't save it. Johnson-Odom taking care of the offense, and on defense the Golden Eagles are pitching a shutout. One way so far in this game. Marquette leading 12-0. After that bad week that Buzz Williams mentioned last week, now just 18-13. Some say, how could a team with 13 losses be in the NCAA tournament? But look at the strength of schedule, the quality wins. Notre Dame, West Virginia, Syracuse, and at UConn, all of them in the top 25 in the RPI. When your worst loss is at Seton Hall, that's not bad.
Not bad at all.
You think people said that when they played Seton Hall when I coached? Bad loss? Is that what they thought?
Really bad loss. Butler did it. 14-zip. Well, you'd have to think a win here would put them in, get them to 19 wins. Joe Lunardi right now projects them as a number 10 seed. And the last team of the 11 in. Of course, Villanova lost tonight. Woes continue for Providence. A turnover and then a foul on Vincent Council.
Dugan, pretty good attempt at stealing there.
Jimmy Butler setting his screen and then coming out to the high post. Oftentimes when you set a screen, the defense concerned with the cutter, the screener's open.
This team plays hard, Mark. Not that other teams don't, but you don't want to play them in the tournament. They go all out. Crowder in and out.
Crowder with a three-pointer. They might review it, see if it was the three. They could really use more from Crowder. We mentioned the tough week they had, the 2 losses to Cincinnati and Seton Hall. Crowder had only 4 points total in those 2 games. The average is 12 per game. He had 8 fouls in the 2 games, but only 4 points.
Tough to see that right toe, huh?
Originally scored a 3, and it's still a 3 upon further review.
Crowder got off to such a great start this season. Had a lot of really good games early. He's such a versatile player. Can put the ball on the deck. Is a good passer. Really good offensive rebounder. And obviously can stick a deep shot.
If you're Providence and you score here, to go for the 2-point conversion.
I tell you, they did better set the last trip. This again going to the rim. That's what they got to do. And yes.
Oh, the mock cheer goes up. 5.5 minutes into the ball game. Providence on the board on a bucket by the leading scorer in the league, Marshawn Brooks, second leading scorer in the country, behind only Jimmer Fredette of BYU.
I love the way he uses the dribble and his body. You know, Jimmy Walker was one of the greats at Providence, and I'm not comparing him at all, but he has that ability and the confidence to go one-on-one and take his guy.
Jimmy Walker, a great player back in the 60s at Providence, and a lot of what Brooks has done compares to Jimmy Walker. 3 wouldn't go for Coleman. Matter of fact, Eric Murdoch and Jimmy Walker are the only other players in Providence history who've had 2 games of 40 points or more in the same season. And that's what Brooks did this year. Is a 43-point game at Georgetown. And of course the Big East record, 52 points against Notre Dame and a 1-point loss in Providence. The most points scored by a D1 player in a game this season, the most ever scored against Notre Dame. And the Big East record, it tied the Providence single game record set by the great Marvin Barnes back in 1973. And Mike Bray said our defense was set up to stop Marshawn Brooks. He went 20 out of 28. Another 3 for Marquette. This one spins around and in for Dwight Bikes, the senior from Milwaukee.
They are not only shooting well but playing well. Very sharp.
Dwight Bikes got lonely out there.
3 out of the corner for Bryce Cotton, freshman from Tucson, Arizona, just his 13th 3 of the year. Crowder left alone.
Nice collective rebounding there. 3 white shirts. Tule dominating.
Tule is a big guy, 6'11", 260. Junior Cadogan to Dwight Bikes. Inside to Crowder. He got called for a swim move. Offensive foul.
That was a pretty good defensive set. Dixon loaded up on a Tule. Much better. You got to be consistent on that.
First foul on Crowder. First year at Marquette for Jay. He's a junior. Spent a couple of years at Howard Community College, where he was the National Junior College Player of the Year and led that school to its first ever JC National Championship. Buzz Williams came up through the junior college ranks and called himself a JUCO guy. They've had good luck with junior college players. His 3 years as head coach at Marquette. Crowder almost ran over his coach.
Buzz, interesting. Has everything down pat. Most organized guy, I think, in coaching I've ever spoken to.
Attention to amazing detail. Remember the first time we saw one of his practices, and it started at something like 3:17. We have a random time. He said, what's with the 3:17? I want to teach my team to appreciate the value of every minute.
My favorite was when we were at Notre Dame and the team got around him before practice and everybody held their hands out almost in a prayerful fashion, and he put a dollop of something in all their hands, and it turned out it was Purell. That he was worried, he didn't want anyone to have germs. They had too much sickness going through the team, and we started calling him Team Purell after that.
We put our hands together, Jay, and hope that Sean, we pray that he picks up something during the next 5 days, except the cold.
Three points for Brooks. 20-6 Marquette. More than 7 minutes gone by. First time these two schools have ever played in the Big East tournament. First Marquette entered the league in 05-06. This was the first year they didn't win at least 10 games in the regular season. They were 9-9. Marquette and Pittsburgh, the only teams in the Big East to have at least 10 Big East regular season wins each of the last 5 years. Marquette's streak ended this year. Brooks tried to buy a call as he hit the deck after the shot. Good hustle back on a defense by Coleman.
Well, the last couple of trips, Providence has played great post defense, and that's something they got to get consistent on, is creep back in this thing.
Just to mention the highlights for Providence in the regular season home wins against Louisville and Villanova, and that was when Villanova had it going pretty good. Of course, the nightmare was the home loss to DePaul, the only conference win of the year. And the dunk by Tule, who hangs on the rim.
What a beautiful play. The big run in the floor, and you reward him. Very unselfish. The kick out set it up to Crowder.
So the bucket makes it 22-6. He did get a technical, and they'll administer that after the media timeout. Another team from Milwaukee, Marquette, leading Providence 22-6. The winner of this game will play Bob Huggins' West Virginia Mountaineers tomorrow night. The single bye for Coach Huggins, and the Mountaineers, by virtue of their 6th place finish in the regular season standings.
Would you say Bob travels lightly?
That's the same outfit he'll be wearing tomorrow night.
Exactly.
And no razor, apparently.
Now you're going overboard.
He's trying to look tougher. Wants his team to toughen up.
I'll tell you what, he can put kids out there to get after you, though.
Marshawn Brooks shooting the technical free throws after the technical on Atule for hanging on the rim. It's another area where he really improved getting to the line. Last year Brooks shot 83 free throws the entire year. This year 217 now. Averaged 14 a game last year, up to 24 this year. And Marshawn also made the point, we visited with him yesterday, a lot of it's more playing time. Played 26 minutes a game last year. This year 37 minutes a game.
No, he's really stepped his game up offensively, though.
So he's a terrific player. Buzz Williams thought there should have been a charge against Coleman. It was a no call.
Good ball movement and deployment.
Cadogan passed it into the corner. The shot short out of the corner by Eric Williams, sophomore out of Houston, Texas. Bryce Cotton, well, he thought he got fouled by Cadogan. The shot was an air ball. Gene Steratore gesturing to Keno Davis to say your shooter stuck his leg out, and that's why there was contact. Keno doesn't like it.
Met Keno when he was a youngster. Of course, his dad, Tom.
That's not kicking his leg out.
Phenomenal coach, as Jay and Sean continue to criticize the officials.
He stuck his leg out because the guy hit his leg. It jetted behind him.
We've gone to that new approach in broadcasting, talking about what was on the screen. But you're right. Tom Davis, by the way, happily retired. Dr. Tom, Keno's dad, now 72 years old, and Keno tells us playing a lot of golf and down to a 5 handicap.
He was always very good. Almost as good as Jim Boeheim. I think Tom was better in the old days.
I think the best golfing coach right now that's still alive is Rick Byrd at Belmont. Shot even par at Augusta once.
Cadogan.
Wow. Are they getting whatever they want? Another timeout. Run out of them.
And you hate to say it, if you're a coach fighting to save your job, and Keno Davis might be, this is not the kind of performance you want to put into the eyes and minds of the administration of the college.
You almost get the feeling that these kids have read and heard about it. I mean, it's not the kind of response you would expect come tournament time, getting back defensively, matching up.
Keno Davis has said we'll be better next year. He took a lot of heat for that comment. Some thought he was implying they'd be better if they didn't have Marshawn Brooks. He said obviously that would be idiotic. I didn't mean to imply that. He just thinks they have 11 freshmen who are going to be better, a young nucleus, and in the totality of it they'll be better. But the question is, will he have a chance to be around? He inherited a very good team from Tim Welsh. Went 10-8, but not enough to get in the NCAA tournament when most people thought starting that year they had an NCAA tournament team. Then they went out in the first round of the NIT. And they've done very little since. Attendance down. There have been some off-the-court issues. And when those things all get combined together, it's the kind of thing that puts a coach on the hot seat in the community where they love college basketball. Marshawn Brooks, a deep three.
Tough shot. Wow.
But a terrific read to fade off that little screen.
Well, you know, it's such a great basketball town, as you both know. Great history, great tradition.
Blocking foul called and a chance for a three-point play.
Marquette just getting right into the lane. The middle of the lane, the defense helps up. All of a sudden you can dish it off. That's Council helping uphill. And the rotation a little bit slow over. That was Marshawn Brooks coming over, but watch a little fade over the top as Butler tries to go over the top of that screen. Just a simple step fade and set his feet very quickly.
More bad news for the Friars. 2 fouls now for Brooks. Jay Crowder finishes the three-point play midway through the half. An 18-point lead for Marquette. Crowder limping a little bit after taking a shot in the hip from Brooks.
Anytime
goes out of the ball game.
Anytime you have a scorer like Marshawn Brooks, and now that he's picked up his second foul, you have to make him guard, but especially now, I think you go right at it.
And Vanderblue on the floor really gets to the rim.
Vincent Council, and now Gerard Coleman. Left-handed scoop wouldn't go. Bryce Cotton, no. Cadogan on the run out.
Boy, they look sharp.
Boy, they sure do. Playing like a team determined to cement its spot in the NCAA field, and Jimmy Butler was fouled.
With Dwight Bikes, Jay, with a beautiful spin out of traffic to start that.
And Providence, their transition defense, not effective all season long, and certainly not effective in this ball game against Marquette.
Ron Gipley just into the game called for the foul. Butler made the free throw. A good free throw shooter, 79%, 11th in the Big East. And he gets to the line a lot, averages 6.5 free throw attempts per game, and for his career he's made 435 free throws. Only Wesley Matthews, Dean Meminger, and George Thompson have ever made more in a Marquette uniform. And of course Butler's only a 3-year player, spent a year in junior college.
And Sean, Jay talked about him on the open, and this is a very good defender as well, good team player. Just a great understanding of what he has to do to contribute to make him a winning team.
Well, his last 2 games he's had 50 points combined, and 26 of those points were from the free throw line.
Vander Blue was called for his first foul, the 3rd on Marquette. Now Gerard Coleman missed a couple. Coleman had a good game in that loss at Marquette, 86-62 on February 27th. He had 16 points.
Nice read
by Council. Cadogan back to defend, and he fouled.
Council just read that perfectly.
A pretty little shortcut.
Yeah, a little 1-4 set, just a little curl move underneath, and he came from the weak side, knocked that ball away. But he needs to get the rim quicker. Kind of angled out so he could get to the rim and lay it up. He needs to get there as fast as possible and get that ball off the backboard.
Oh, free throw shooting letting the Friars down right now.
I'll tell you, Buzz may lead the league in perspiration too. He really gets a workout on that sideline.
Well, Jay should know that. I mean, he knows the handicaps of every golfing coach in America. He should...
Live ones, though. Do you notice he's the best live guy?
Well, still live, but still playing. I mean, he'll be in the NCAA tournament. If we're talking about dead guys,
trouble getting it off the tee.
If I'm talking about dead guys, I'd start with Raftery first.
Vincent Council kicked it out. Wow. Coleman had a wide open 3 and didn't want to take it. Mentioned Keno says he's had a very good freshman year, but that's one area that Coleman needs to work on is his outside shot. You can see there he didn't have any confidence in it.
Yeah, boy, they mishandled the break. They had white shirts outnumbered in the dark.
Traveling call against the Golden Eagles. College lacrosse on ESPNU Saturday, 11 a.m. Big East matchup. Syracuse, the #1 team of the country, in Georgetown. And that's a heated rivalry no matter the sport. And then Cornell and Virginia, 2 perennial powers at 1:30, part of the Hanukkah Minolta Face-Off Classic on ESPNU Saturday. Providence, usually a pretty good offensive team, shooting 13%, 3 for 23. Malile Dixon the miss. We are playing without Duke Mundy, who is going to sit out his 4th straight game. A talented sophomore, who Keno Davis says is their best defender. He has been held out of the last 4 games now as a coach's decision. And Keno Davis told us he cannot elaborate on the reasons. Bryce Cotton, 3 ball. He's been coming on lately, at least 6 points in each of the last 4 games now for a young man who averages under 4 points per game for the year.
Really an explosive athlete. Watching him in practice, he gets off the floor quickly.
Yeah, I'm impressed watching Marquette's defense. They really are solid. Great fundamentals, help recover.
Which I guess raises the question, why are they 14th in the league in scoring defense? With the effort, with all the interchangeable athletic type bodies they seem to have?
Yeah, it's a good question. I just think it's a 2-possession league. You win or lose by 2. Maybe not just finishing games is part of the difficulty.
No, they're small too. That's part of the problem. Is you can go after them in the post and on the glass.
They've lost 7 2-possession games, Bill, to amplify your point, and 3 1-possession games.
Ooh.
traveling the call. 6:52 to go in the first half. So far, stick with me, fellas, here in Manhattan. Smooth skating for Marquette.
They're life skaters, too.
We're back at Madison Square Garden. It's championship week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods, the Big East Championship. Brought to you by American Eagle Outfitters. All Marquette here at the start as we go inside the play.
Whether man or zone, Marquette wants to get the ball into the lane, to drive gaps, and then kick it out. Make two defenders play one. You see the man on the baseline responsible for the corner comes up. That leaves the corner shooter, Darius Johnson-Odom, wide open for a step-in jump shot. And 5 of 7 from 3, 12 of 19 overall. Is Marquette shooting 63% from the field in this first half.
And they complement it with the speed and flow, the fast break, the early offense. They really get it up, hit you at a disadvantage.
Pressure brought here by the Friars. Handled with relative ease by Marquette, and Darius Johnson-Odom with another bucket. He has 10 points. Averages 16 per game. 8th in the Big East in scoring. 3 of the top 8 Big East scorers in this game, Brooks, Butler, and Johnson-Odom.
Butler's done a nice job. He's sticking right with Marshawn Brooks, and Crowder helps out.
Brooks found an open Council, who bangs home a 3 for Providence College.
You know, it's selfish play, too, by Marshawn Brooks.
Well, so far, Marquette's making those other than Brooks beat them.
So it looked like Crowder got fouled. As soon as he made the shot, he turned and looked at Ed Corbett as if to say, I got hit in the face. How'd you miss that? Brooks was first team All Big East. There were some who felt that if he had been on a better team, he might have been the conference player of the year. Rick Pitino says he is the outstanding player in the Big East Conference and the best pro prospect.
Sean, you should take this highlight.
He got hit in the face. Right off the top of the head.
Boy, they are getting whatever they want, though.
Yeah, wow.
Move the ball and get it up the floor quickly. They give it up nice, and Odom just doesn't waste any time. Dave Cadogan an opportunity to get 2.
Just the front end. He's just 59.6% for the year.
I think the challenge for Marquette is going to be to continue to defend, because Providence, they give up a lot of points, but they can put points on the board.
Well, he missed both. Cadogan had best game of his career against Providence a week and a half ago. Career high 10 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds for Cadogan. He was out of the ball game after missing the 2 free throws.
Version of America's play there, a little screen across and then a double down for the screener.
Tough, nice play. Crowder.
Yeah, good hands defensively. Denied that pass into the middle of the lane. Johnson-Odom long with a 3. Rebound Belial Dixon, and then picked off by Dwight Bikes. Crowder underneath unselfishly to Otule.
Now you mentioned he knows how to play that kid. He's not all about numbers. I mean, he's just nice glue kind of a guy.
He does everything. He may not be great at any one thing, but he's really good at an awful lot of things.
It's interesting watching the coverage this afternoon on ESPN of the afternoon games from the Big East Championship. Don Saunders and Doug Gottlieb talking to Buzz Williams, and they asked him a question about, you can tend to get a big early lead against Providence, but they're the kind of offensive team that can get back into a game, make a run. And Buzz Williams' response to the question said, well, I've talked to my team about that. We do get a big early lead. You can't go to sleep. You got to continue to get post touches. Keep your foot on their throats. You know, his intensity will not wane. Buzz Williams. Mail Jones into the ball game now for him at deep bench players. Played in just 14 games all year. Getting some time here in the first half with a big lead.
So you've got to make a team like this play half court, Marquette. You can't give them all these open floor runouts and opportunities, it just overpowers you. It takes the heart from you.
In other words, you have to guard them.
Yeah, basically. Make sure you, as you said, the transition hasn't been good.
You know, part of that, as you said earlier, when you take a bad shot, all of a sudden that gives Marquette a run out, and they get to play ahead of your defense.
Nice.
Shot clock running out. Bikes call for an offensive foul. Good defense there by Vincent Council, sophomore from Brooklyn.
Tell you, he had a great handle here. The same hand change. I thought that was pretty. Nothing wrong with that call. Was it?
No.
Sean, I'd like to check with him.
Oh, now, why are you yielding to me? Usually it's Phyllis the whistle.
I used to say Ed Stites, for one of the masters of the rules in the old days.
Nice. Cotton short with a three.
Aren't a lot of second shots for Providence.
Now, pretty solid checkouts, Jay. Bats, I think.
Yep, away from the ball. Banging on the low block with Devontae Gardner. Second foul on Bats and a timeout. Yeah, that was a shocker. Jim Tressel. Such a pristine image as a follower of rules. Shocker. Shocker here earlier tonight, too. You look at Big East Championship headlines. Villanova lost to South Florida earlier tonight. West Virginia defending champ. Pittsburgh the #1 seed this time around. Ben Hansbrough named the player of the year in the voting by the coaches. The results announced earlier tonight. And Rutgers beat Seton Hall tonight in overtime. They'll play St. John's. By the way, Jay Wright, after Villanova's loss earlier tonight to USF, says Muftal Yaru might have a concussion, has an issue with his rib cage in addition to the facial contusions, with an eye toward the NCAA tournament that he hopes they're going to be in. Jay Wright said we need to get Muftal back. Wright blamed the collapse down the stretch on the team that's lost confidence. It got tentative with the lead. Couldn't make shots. 22% they shot in the second half after they scored 49 points in the first half.
Tough to regenerate, though, when you do take the plug out.
I think the quality of their shot was the problem.
Vincent Council the bucket. He'll have a chance for a three-point play. Foul on Dwight Bikes, his second. 16 fouls on Marquette. The Bikes goes out. And Junior Cadogan back in. Vincent Council. Keno Davis said yesterday when we visited that, all things considered, he thinks Council's had an excellent year. He's had to play just about every minute of every game as the point guard. That's so hard in this league. You have to run your team and then defend so many talented players at the other end, and you really don't have a backup for him.
Yeah, imagine you're guarding Hansbrough as a point guard. He's a power guy you're guarding, physically imposing. Chuck Bryant comes to mind as a stronger kind of a guy, too. They take your minutes away from you.
Eric Williams rattles one home. He had 6 points and 5 rebounds with a regular season game against Providence in just 12 minutes. The average is just 2.5 points per game.
Providence not making anything difficult on Marquette.
When we talk about Keno Davis being on the hot seat, I think that's probably the thing that bothered the Friar fans the most. They've just been so bad defensively the last couple of years, and so many times it just looks like a lack of effort, which is really unacceptable. Kadeem Bats the bucket.
Kadeem Bats was pleading. He had been in the 3-second lane for a half hour. Wide open, didn't get it.
Johnson Odom got Coleman in the air but didn't get a foul call. Council the other way off to Marshawn Brooks. Had a quiet half. He banks one home. Quiet for him is a 10-point half. And a timeout by Buzz Williams. 7-2 run for Providence. ESPNU's coverage of college lacrosse continues Friday night. North Carolina takes on the Princeton Tigers. 7 o'clock. They're still playing Friday night at 7 o'clock.
Hey, the fear of the rush. Marquette concerned. You know, quick timeout. Both were talking earlier how quickly they feel Providence can score. Not a bad idea.
And one of the things when you have a lead, I mean, you're not going to be able to continue to stop Providence from scoring. What you want to do is make sure you run good offense so that at worst, when they get a run, you're trading baskets. You have to run disciplined offense. That shot that Darius Johnson-Odom took, even though he was trying to draw a foul after he got the defender up in the air, you know, that led to the run out.
Nice lob.
Butler fouled.
Is that him? I think number 3, Sean.
Yes. Yeah, they can't afford to lose him. Keno Davis says he's their most consistent inside player. The freshman, part of that future that Keno thinks is bright. He says we try to give Bats as many minutes as we can. Want him to get as much experience as possible.
They wanted to give him a lot of at-bats.
Do you want to hammer that one, Jay, or should I?
I'll leave that softball up for you to hit out of the park.
Butler. Butler, honorable mention all Big East this season, 2nd year in a row. He's been honorable mention all conference in the Big East. They are 1st, 2nd, and 3rd teams, and then the honorable mention.
Yeah, you do look at this Marquette team. If they ever had an offensive weapon in the hole, they got a lot of solid pieces.
Whoa, Council from very deep. 9 for Vince Council. Been in double figures in each of the previous 6 games. At 12 in their loss at Marquette. Turned over by the Golden Eagles with a minute 12 to go in the half.
They want to finish solid, Marquette.
If they could cut it to 12, if Providence could get a score here, maybe cut it to 12, maybe 13 before the half, that'd be a big development.
And it goes.
There it is. Vincent Council down to a 15-point edge for Marquette. Largest lead was 24. Johnson-Odom powered in, missed the short. He got his own rebound. Great effort. And then Butler fouled.
That's the big rebound you need if you're Providence. Jay, you got a couple of runs at the other end. Confidence here, huh, Jay?
Boy, nice little crossover and just hops right into that shot. He got off the floor quickly, didn't he?
He sure does. Really athletic. Shoots it with confidence.
Coleman called for his first foul. 2 shots for Jimmy Butler.
Number 2, Vander Blue is back in from Marquette. He replaces Junior Kadugan.
Vander Blue back in.
The Buzz has that special bottle of water. I wonder if it's the bubbly water.
Magic water.
Maybe I should have tried that.
Well, you don't need it. You already have Tiger blood and Adonis DNA. You're reading about elsewhere in the news these days.
You want to stay at home on Brooks on this ball screen and pop.
They just switched it out top.
Yeah.
A 6-second difference between shot and game clock. And another 3 for Council. Give the Friars credit. Trying to scratch back into it here in the last couple of minutes. 3 wouldn't go for Johnson-Odom. Providence, once down by 24, has made a game of it at the half. Now down by 13, as we saw in the first game tonight. That is not an insurmountable deficit for the underdog, as USF rallied from 16 down earlier tonight to beat Villanova. 46-33 at halftime. Here's Lowell Galindo with Sports Center U.
Young man. This week on this court, the stakes like my skyscrapers are higher, the glare like my light brighter. If you're afraid, you'll fail. But stand tall like me and you will prevail. here in the Big East Championship.
He is New York, and Jay Billis is college basketball, as we welcome you back to Championship Week, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods and ESPN's coverage of the 2011 Big East Championship, brought to you by American Eagle Outfitters. Halftime, Marquette leading Providence 46-33 in the final game of the day, day one. 4 games today, and along with Mr. College Basketball, Bill Raftery. Great start for Marquette, boys. 17-0 right out of the gate.
And they got a lot of open shots. They were able to get out and transition off some misses and some turnovers by Providence. But Darius Johnson-Odom knocked down a couple of threes. Jay Crowder. But then toward the end of the half, it was Vincent Council.
What confidence they have in their outside shot. He is a tough kid. We talk about Marshawn Brooks quite a bit, and rightfully so. But they can fill it up. The key, I think, is getting back and addressing the offense of Marquette.
Providence at one point lingering around 17% late in the half. Thanks to the late heroics by Council, got up to 31% for the half. The stats brought to you by American Eagle Outfitters. Marshawn Brooks got his points, 10 of them, but just 3 out of 9 from the floor. Providence ball to begin the second half. Can they keep the momentum going? They were down by 24. Scratch to get it down to 13 now as Council scored 15 of the final 19 points of the half for Providence.
Seems like he had a hand in just about every basket that Providence had.
Well, he scored or assisted on 9 of their last 11 field goals. Vincent Council, 4 assists for the half.
Here he is again. He is quick to get free. Nice kick.
Can they get it? Yes, they can. Gerard Coleman, a reluctant three-point shooter in the first half, has his first of the night. He's 1 out of 4 from beyond the arc. And it's a 10-point game.
Maybe watching the ball go through the net so often will help energize the Providence defense.
Nice back screen.
Eric Williams, no. Marshawn Brooks lost it on the dribble, collected it and gave it to Vincent Council. Kadeem Batts is on the floor to start the second half for Providence with 3 fouls.
Look at this kid. He's such a confident offensive player. I thought that was going.
Brooks the miss. Dwight Bikes the push the other way. Off to Jimmy Butler with good body control as they avoid charging and instead drew the foul from Vincent Council, his third.
Well, it's got to be a confidence boost to know you can get runouts whenever you want them. I mean, that's the thing with Marquette. Their offense can take care of itself. And they just got to stop and get up on the shooters on the other end.
Jimmy Butler's been wearing out the free throw line of late. Last 2 games, both of them losses. Against Cincinnati and Seton Hall, he shot 30 free throws. 17 against Cincinnati, 13 against Seton Hall, made 26 out of 30. 14 points for Butler tonight, who has shot 8 more free throws and made 7 of them. Council might have gotten away with a charge for his 4th foul. Belial Dixon for Providence, his first bucket of the night.
There's your guy. Tough pass for him, though. O'Toole does load up, doesn't he?
Even if he does
it and they turn it over.
Even if O'Toole doesn't get it, he's occupying that defender. A guy that can't really help off, and that was just an unnecessary pass.
That strip, good hands by Crowder.
Oh, goodness, is that a strong drive, huh?
Darius Johnson-Odom with 12.
1 on 2, but the 2 could never get set.
What strength, huh?
Fire drill.
Brooks smooth to the bucket and a soft touch for the senior out of Stone Mountain, Georgia, who's actually born in New Jersey. Lived not far from here for the first 6 years of his life before he moved with his mom down to Atlanta. Mom Darlin, a very vocal fan, emotional presence at his games. Johnson-Odom a miss, then the tip wouldn't go for Butler. And a foul on Crowder after Coleman scooped it up. Second foul on Jay Crowder.
A lot more confidence by Providence on the offensive end, but can they push it, Jay?
Darius Johnson-Odom after the strip by Crowder. And Marshawn Brooks with his back to the action, turning his head, trying to find people, and Johnson-Odom got it all the way to the rack quickly.
Marshawn Brooks guarded by Butler. Butler did a very good job against him in that regular season meeting. He had the primary responsibility for guarding Brooks. Coleman, boy, 0 for 8 in the first half. He's made a couple of threes here in the second half. Friar fans starting to feel it. They're within 7 after trailing by 24 with under 3.5 to go in the first half.
Well, fumble here.
Vincent Council. Wow, that was unlucky. Rattled out to O'Toole. And the answer by Butler.
Now that's just getting lazy, I think. Not getting up back. Right?
Just poor transition defense.
Yeah.
And miss a short shot and give up a layup.
Chance to get it to 5. It popped out. Instead, it's 9. Brooks again couldn't shed Butler, so settled for the long one and missed. And Darius Johnson-Odom goes the other way for Marquette. And again, all the way to the goal. That is just too easy.
Absolutely, Sean. He's got some heart, though, that kid. Rebound, gets over 3 a game, pushes the ball. Just such an aggressive nature on the floor.
He is strong and fast, but do you agree, though, that's a little too easy in terms of the defense?
Paper mache.
Unless they're going to have a red cape.
Brooks again couldn't get away from Butler. Into Belial, Dixon, the up and under.
Pretty good patience by the big guy.
4 points for Dixon. He's a sophomore from Jersey City, out of Queen of Peace. Now he played a couple of years, freshman and sophomore years at St. Anthony for the legendary Bob Hurley Sr.
Queen of Peace is my old neighborhood, Sean. In North Arlington, a lot of Hudson County kids go there.
Where the paint touches that pit. Many in the second half for Marquette, getting to the rim whenever they want.
They're going to count the bucket. Yes, says Earl Walton.
I thought he was saying it was on the floor. Did he count that?
I think he did. I sort of like it, though. Actually, I thought it was, he started picked it up and started.
They're saying no basket now.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
and that's why the fans are booing. It looked like Earl Walton was signaling score of the goal. That's what the crowd thought. Now that has Keno Davis scratching his head. They didn't count this. Although high marks for artistic impression. Friends, we remind you that coverage of the Big East Championship is available in 3D on ESPN 3D, brought to you by Sony. There's some of the cameras. Kind of look like they're looking at you like a couple of eyeballs. That double lens 3D camera.
I'm sure you have all that equipment at home, knowing the financial strata that you've achieved.
Those are expensive cameras. Don't run into one of those.
What do you mean you have to pay for it if you break it?
Yeah, if one of the players runs into it, they're responsible. You break it, you're own. Providence up to 9 3-pointers. They were 3 for 24 from the floor to start the game. Trailed 17-0. Trailed by 24 late in the first half. Whoa.
Actually, it would have been fine.
Yep,
the lines don't count on the inbounds.
They had it down to 7 moments ago. It's an 11-point lead now for Marquette. More than 5 minutes played, second half. Ooh. Chip play, passed it to Cotton and got it back, and now Coleman missed a 3, made a couple here in the half.
What a nice check out by Butler. He does a lot of nice things.
He's a good-looking athlete. Yeah. Smooth pull-up there, and the jumper. 18 for Jimmy Butler.
When he checked out, Sean, he didn't even have to jump. He just turned the guy the other direction.
It's pretty good defense by Jay Crowder there, forcing a tough shot by Council.
Again.
Boy, Cadogan looked like he had a gap to the basket. Elected to pass out instead. An unselfish ball movement, and Jay Crowder is fouled.
Cadogan getting the ball to the middle of the floor, and Jimmy Butler just easily steps into that shot, goes straight up and down. He does play with nice pace.
Good feel, good understanding, and he stops guys.
Surely plays at a faster pace than all those dead golfing coaches you were talking about earlier.
I meant still alive in the tournament, still playing. Although you'd still beg for strokes off a dead guy.
I need them too. That's how bad my game is.
With his personality, he should be playing with someone.
Crowder, a couple of misses. Coleman strong to the goal. Nino Davis talked about what a good athlete Coleman is. He showed it there.
What a move by Cadogan. Everything but.
Ooh, he missed. Gardner missed. Couple of chances. Vander Blue inside. Then he was held. The ball, that is, was held in the hands of Blue. It'll be Marquette ball.
Coleman does a nice job of avoiding the charge here. Just slides it. Vander Blue right there. He's had a nice second half. Dropped a couple of threes, one from each side of the floor, and out in transition.
Freshman from Boston, Gerard Coleman, although in his hometown we would call him Gerard. West Roxbury High School in the city of Boston area, and then on to Tilton School. Outstanding prep program where he averaged 28.5 points last year to Coleman.
What a
Cadogan. Boy, again, lots of chances for some smaller players, particularly Cadogan inside. 3 chances for Cadogan. He couldn't get one to go. Vander Blue was in there as well. Now Brooks the shake and bake, and the dump off to Batts, who missed it.
Wow. Is that pretty? Deft.
Cadogan gonna keep on shooting. Just needed to get a little bit further away from the basket. Sophomore out of Toronto, junior Cadogan. Missed most of last year with an Achilles injury.
But Marshawn Brooks is a very tough guy, very unselfish too. Once again, punishes with the dribble.
Even the little guys from Marquette in there rebounding. I guess they're all little guys from Marquette.
They're fundamentally sound though, you're right.
Plus 15 in rebounding tonight. That's been a big key. There's a rebound for Batts. It's knocked out of his hands. Marquette out rebounded Providence by 15 in their regular season win, 48-33.
How about that? A little lingerie on the deck with that move, huh?
That's pretty good play.
Everything but at the end. Make you pay with the quick push.
Thing you'd like to see from Brooks. Clearly a gifted offensive player, but you'd like to see him bring it on both ends of the floor. I think he could be a good defender.
With his length.
Marshawn Brooks missed the 3. Rebound Dwight Bikes. They look to run, and why not? Vander Blue fouled. And that'll get us to immediate timeout. Little late night snack. Providence down by 13. Conference's leading scorer. Marshawn Brooks held in check tonight by Marquette. He had a couple of spectacular games in February 5th at Georgetown, 43 points. 5th highest total ever in a Big East game. He was 17 out of 28 in a narrow loss against the Hoyas. February 23rd against Notre Dame, 52 points, the Big East record, breaking the mark held by a former Friar, Eric Murdoch, with 48 against Pitt in 1991. Friars lost by a point, averaging nearly 25 per game. For the year overall, 26 per game in Big East play, but held to 17 a week and a half ago at Marquette, and only 12 tonight on 4 out of 13 shooting.
You know, Jay mentioned about defense, and I think of Eric Murdoch. I mean, I think he led the Big East in steals in the old days, I should say. He was a terrific defender as well. And that's an area, in terms of his future, he's going to have to work at.
No question. He can be a much better defender, and it's just an area where he's got to give more effort.
And that's true of a lot of his teammates as well. This is not a culture of playing hard-nosed defense in the Providence program right now.
And Jimmy Butler and Darius Johnson-Odom have been very efficient in this ball game. Ooh, good catch, wasn't it?
Well, sure was.
Crowder a couple of chances, and O'Toole. They continue to have second and third opportunities, and the lead back up to 15 after the Friars got to within 7.
Marquette's not shooting a great percentage in this second half, largely because they've had shot after shot after shot right near the rim. Not been able to get it to come down.
Boy, that's a bad call. That's what a terrible call. As he called for his 4th foul. Incidental contact. That should have been a play on.
It's under the restraining area there.
O'Toole could have been a play on if they'd let him play from the subway station, which is where he landed once Bats landed on top of him. Penn Station down below.
But your
bench
point
with 4 fouls for Bats.
They have had a lot of opportunities at the tin, though, Marquette. Jay, you're right. They're just not converting them.
We've had some Moses Malones where you go 4 and 5 offensive rebounds in one play.
Gardner. Crowder. And a long rebound down to Gerard Coleman. Brooks, who was not highly recruited out of Stone Mountain, Georgia, told us yesterday that Providence was really his only quote-unquote big-time offer in the power conferences. Schools like Kennesaw State, Tennessee Tech taking a look at him before he was discovered by Steve DeMayo, then a Providence assistant coach, and Tim Welsh. And that former Providence staff did a great job of identifying players, diamonds in the rough, and developing. Think of Herbert Hill, not long before Brooks, who really came on as Brooks has.
Boy, he is hurting
very hard in the summers. Went to the Paul Pierce Skills Academy a couple of years ago. Said yesterday he spent last summer in New Jersey.
And why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Right spot of the world.
With Larry Marshall, who helped work on his basketball game, but also in the strength and conditioning. Scotty Hobson, the terrific Tennessee player. Edwin Ubelis, the former Siena star, also worked out with Brooks. And he came back with a good-looking game. And a lot of confidence. There's a 3 for Marshawn Brooks. Not having a great night by his standards, but it's still 17 points.
Nice find by Council. Collapsed the D and kick back.
Bikes might have gone away with a travel. Pretty low. Underneath the Crowder, and he's fouled by Brooks.
Bikes loved it. When you see a kid regale himself on a pass, you know, you got somebody cares about the team. And right here, just a wonderful find. And how about switching to that left hand, too, Jay?
Just a nice little wraparound. That was a really good catch. And Brooks, as you mentioned, the stop and go, herky-jerky, stays under control, and Council knew exactly where he was on the break. Just passed back after getting into the lane, allowed him to step comfortably into that shot. That was well done by Vincent Council.
So now Crowder at the line. He's had a nice bounce back night after some poor performances. Go late. Short with a free throw. Bats the rebound. Keno Davis is going to roll the dice with Bats with 4 fouls. 9 minutes to go, down by 14. Winner will play West Virginia tomorrow night in the nightcap. We just tuned in earlier tonight. Villanova upset by the 15 seed, the University of South Florida Bulls. Gardner a miss. Crowder in there to keep it alive. Out of bounds. Crowder thought Brooks was last to touch, but it'll be Providence ball.
You know, Jerry, we recently had a conversation with John Adams on the last play by Brooks. When he was bumped and there was a flop and he missed the shot, he said they're going to work hard next year to call that a foul on the flopper. Because you missed the shot because, you know, it's contact that throws your shot off.
Strong drive by Council. He'll go to the line for a couple. Fourth game, final game of day one. First of 5 days of the Big East Championship as all 16 teams in the Big East make it to New York for the third year in a row. Connecticut, Rutgers, and USF the winners earlier today. Winner of this one will get West Virginia. Vincent Council from Brooklyn, but he played at the Patterson School in Lenore, North Carolina, one of the top high school programs in the country. Remember, they were #1 in the country for most of his senior season. That was after he played at Lincoln High School here in the New York City area.
One of those Patterson kids wound up going to Memphis a few years ago.
Well, day to shoot it for Johnson. Oh, no, maybe too long, and it's snatched down by Coleman.
Well, Providence can get the ball down quickly, though.
Yeah, it's funny. Marquette winds up stopping that ball, and they have to pull it back out, run something.
Good shots, though. You know, you get good shots, you balance.
True, but that's the difference sort of in the transition defense between the two teams.
Brooks, you know, he kind of idolizes Kobe Bryant, and he has a lot of the same mannerisms.
Tell you what, he is a very tough kid on the out. Good offensive mind, very creative.
Good move to the bucket by Devontae Gardner, the freshman out of Suffolk, Virginia. Doesn't play much, only about 8 minutes a game, but that's a big play for Marquette. And Batts just fouled out to make it that much worse for Tino Davis and the Friars.
Get it into the middle of the lane. The quick drop step, little hook, and score.
Once the brackets are revealed on Sunday, ESPNU is your source for all the tournament news and analysis. 71 consecutive hours. That's right. 71 consecutive hours for just a typical week for Jay Billis. One of the most entertaining and informational things you need to know before filling out your bracket. It's Tournament Countdown, presented by Delta Airlines, starting Sunday, 7 Eastern on ESPNU.
Have you ever filled out your bracket and been right? I haven't. I'm not setting you up.
What are you talking about?
You know, your bracket, you get the thing, you go, geez, let me do this down the line to see who's going to be the ultimate winner.
Oh, not all. No. You might get a Final Four right or 3 out of 4, but it's impossible to get them all right.
Right, on the way.
By the way, Joe Lunardi's just done one of his bracketology updates based on today's results. He still has Villanova in the tournament, but he has them among the last 4 teams that would get buys. Which the last 4 in would have to go to that new situation in Dayton.
They're calling that the first and second round games now, Sean.
Yes. Actually, the first round. They're calling it the first 4. Right. 4 games, 8 teams, 60 teams getting a bye into what is the second round starting on Thursday.
Right. So he has Villanova among the last 4 with a bye. Wouldn't have to go through that beginning part. He is the last 4 in right now. Michigan State, Virginia Tech, Colorado, and Georgia. That's close enough to the bubble, you'd think. Basically, they're in the next 4 in among the last 8 teams in for Joe Lunardi right now, Villanova.
Well, Jay's got a few days to figure some things out with that.
He's so good at it, though. If you're one of those teams Joe has in, you have to feel great about it. And if he doesn't have you in, you have to be really nervous about it because his track record is so outstanding over the last few years. He almost always has it right on the head, or maybe 1 off per year. Council a miss. Under 6.5 to go. Marquette in need of a win here to feel better about their standing on Selection Sunday, leading by 14.
Well, Gardner getting a lot of minutes here. Very active screening, gets back in position to do some damage. And he's looking to go out right now until he's tired, Sean.
Cross action Saturday. #1 team in the country, the Cuse, against the Hoyas, and then at 1:30, Cornell and #2 Virginia. It's the Conica Minolta Face-Off Classic on ESPNU Saturday. Council called for his 4th foul. More problems for the Friars. Johnson Odom the free throw. Vander Blue has come back in. Dwight Bikes back in. Gardner and Cadogan go out.
A very tired Gardner too. He gave the signal, the Dean Smith signal. You remember those days, Jay?
Give him a fist.
Yeah.
They take you out and put you back in when you're ready to go in.
Jay got a number of signals in Manhattan today from his not so adoring fans. He walked in. They know how to communicate in this great city.
They said we were #1.
They always tell you where to go in the city.
Give great directions.
Council another 3. He has 18 points. Averages 13.5 per game.
And a nice job by Crowder too, holding off.
They have gotten into the paint, Marquette has, at will, especially in transition.
And that was the case in the regular season meeting less than 2 weeks ago. They just hammered Providence in the lane. Lyle Dixon the foul. Providence over the limit. 2 shots for Dwight Bikes, Milwaukee native. Out of Bayview High School, went to junior college in Iowa at Indian Hills for a couple of years before coming back home to Milwaukee.
Marquette only has 3 team fouls in the second half, so Providence has not been putting Marquette in a position to foul.
They're very perimeter oriented as well, Providence. You know, send for a lot of jump shots.
They sure do. A lot of them challenged.
Case in point.
Wow, is he impressive. Vincent Council. Well, you understand why Keno Davis thinks they have a chance to be decent next year. They pretty much finished right on their prediction this year. They were picked 14th in the preseason Big East Coaches Poll, and they finished 14th. So based on Jay's criteria earlier about whether you overachieve or underachieve relative to your prediction based on the Coach of the Year balloting, status quo for Keno Davis. Keno told us yesterday, Jay, when we visited, that he thinks next year they'll be picked 9, 10, or 11. And he said if you can get up into that range, you have a chance to surprise some people, maybe even move up beyond that. If people start to think of you in that light, if your team's really good enough to be there, then perhaps you can even be a little bit better than that. We talked about Pitt last year, picked to finish 9th in the league, and far surpassed that expectation. He's an optimist.
What was Connecticut picked this year? I believe 10th, I think.
Yeah,
10th. Mistaken. In the final analysis, that's almost where they wound up.
No, they fell out, but early in the year we were all
giddy.
Yeah.
So they came out of the gates roaring with that great start out in Maui.
They get whatever they want now, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Looks like Providence is out of gas. Vander Blue, the bucket, freshman out of Madison, Wisconsin. The consensus top 40 recruit, one of the most highly recruited players in the last couple of decades at Marquette. Hasn't had a prolific freshman season. Brooks called for the offensive foul.
But Butler has been terrific defensively on Marshawn Brooks.
That's 4 fouls on Brooks. 3:50 to go. Hard-working crew. We salute all the members of our 3D crew and the crew working on our telecast. These are long days, 4 games in one day, 5 days of action. Labor of love for our ESPN folks. Produced tonight by Bo Garrett, directed by Chip Dean, 2 of the all-time greats. Just ask them.
Well, they have a spirit, esprit de corps versus the 3 of us. I mean, they've got a lot to lean on one another for. Support. Pick you up when you're down.
I don't know what esprit de corps is.
It's a little restaurant just up the street.
That stays open late.
2-3 look. Oh boy.
Sonoda on the three out of the corner for Marquette. So they're going to breathe a little bit easier in Milwaukee tonight with an eye toward the Golden Eagles' chances for the NCAA tournament. The local paper there today described them as in desperate need of a win. That may or may not have been the case, but they're going to get a win that will certainly help their cause. Get them to 19-13 overall. Oh, nicely done. Council lofted it up, and how about the airtime for Bryce Cotton at 6'1", and it doesn't even look like he's that tall.
He made some unbelievable athletic plays at practice yesterday.
The New York Athletic Club, appropriately so, counted for Gerard Coleman.
Well, you got to admire Providence. So they just keep coming at you. I mean, they'd be faulty on the one end. How about this one? A little back screen lob, and Hall has some back screen ability.
You do admire the effort, but you wonder if they gave the same kind of effort at the defensive end. Would they be even more admirable and perhaps more successful?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm not sure you admire a team for really going after it offensively if they don't play defense.
Right.
And you're not gonna win outscoring people in the Big East. It's not gonna happen. You might do it a game or two, but over the course of the season, you're gonna have to stop people.
Pretty cut, huh? Gee, they find one. They're very unselfish, too.
Keno Davis has put the 7-foot senior Ray Hall in the game. That's a nice gesture. He just couldn't handle the pass. His last game, fifth-year senior. Young man who's battled some injuries.
They say he's got a great spirit, too. I mean, you hear things.
Free to core.
Yeah, exactly. All that stuff.
Ray Hall's also a talented artist. Art major at Providence. He's one of those guys. Seems like he's been around a long time. He is a fifth-year senior, but he's kind of in that Joe Mazzulla category.
Yeah, Joe.
Hasn't he been there for about 10 years?
You missed them when they're gone.
Joe Mazzulla played his best, I thought, against Jimmy Walker.
Jimmy Butler.
Oh, they were that far back?
Jimmy Walker. Weren't you bringing up Jimmy Walker before?
Yeah, for the great Providence player.
It's a joke.
Why?
He's been there a long time. Get it?
No, I got it.
Jimmy Walker, by the way, the single-season scoring record at Providence back in 1967. 851 points in a season. Marshawn Brooks isn't going to quite get there. He's coming up on 800 points, but his season's going to end here tonight. Butler rattles home another free throw. Jimmy Walker averaged 30.4 points per game back in 1967. Also known to be Jalen Rose's dad.
Yeah, Joe Mulaney was the coach, and they played a combination defense that beguiled people, and he was extraordinary at finding areas to dominate with the dribble. It was just Brooksy kind of a game.
This is the last we're going to see of Marshawn Brooks as a college player. How do you size him up, fellas, with an eye toward the NBA?
I think he's a first-round draft pick. He can make shots. He plays with really good pace, long arms, and he's got the ability to play at the next level. He's going to have to keep getting better, get bigger and stronger, but he's got tools.
Three-point field goal by Jamale Jones. We mentioned he's played very little this year. That's just his 4th three of the season. Council out of dribbling and then flipped up an air ball. Taken down by Williams. Coming down on a minute to go on the season for Providence. It'll end at 15-17. Overall, mentioned 4-14 in the Big East regular season. And Marquette gets a big win. Little breathing room. With an eye toward the NCAA tournament and the great opportunity tomorrow night. They got another big resume builder as they'll take on West Virginia. ESPN News now projecting Marquette as the winner of this game. So the matchup set for tomorrow: Georgetown and UConn, St. John's and Rutgers, Cincinnati and USF, and then Al McGuire's old school, Marquette against West Virginia.
And
also got Hank Raymond's.
Yeah, I just saw that same thing, Jay. Hank Raymond.
That's nice.
Terrific. Passed away this year. Head coach. Was assisted Al. Was alongside him. with Rick Majerus when they won it all.
And out comes Marshawn Brooks. There aren't many Providence fans here. There aren't many fans left here, as a matter of fact, but many of them who are still here on their feet. Not highly recruited out of high school. They were actually at his games looking at one of his high school teammates, Jeremy Simmons, who wound up going to the College of Charleston when Tim Welsh and Steve DeMayo saw Marshawn Brooks. A basketball family. His aunt Denise is a WNBA ref. She was a great college player at St. Leo, and that's why Marshawn has great respect for the officials. She's also a Big East women's official.
I think you should spend some time.
I have great respect for the officials myself.
He had a great year.
Chris Carter gets in the game, another senior walk-on out of Worcester, Mass. Tino Davis called a timeout just to get the seniors into the ball game. Buzz Williams wondering what's going on.
You know, I wish we saw Marshawn Brooks more, other than the tape getting ready for other games. You know, he's an exciting basketball player. And, Jay's comments about the NBA, I mean, he will be forced and learn to guard. I mean, you won't get on the floor because the other guy will undress you. So he's got a big upside.
Well, they're making them take the timeout. They want to sort of change on the fly, but it cannot happen. Back after this.